Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Wednesday evening with Reni tonight. Welcome, Reni.
Hi.
Hi. So maybe I just let you introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Reni Bickel. I'm originally Swiss and I live in New York. And I live sometimes in South America and Peru. And yeah, what else? I teach yoga and I'm a yoga student forever. I work with crystals. They're my big passion. And yeah, I guess my mission is to build community. So all over the world, I have lots of students and friends in Switzerland and in South America and obviously New York too. So this is pretty much what I do.
Okay. So maybe tell me, how do you, what was your way from Switzerland and then to New York? What brought you there?
Okay, it's a love story. So I have been a surfer since I'm pretty young, and surfing brought me to Indonesia a few times. And exactly 10 years ago, a little more actually, I was in Bali where I met my now husband, and he is from Lima, Peru. And yeah, this is how the whole story began. I always somehow knew that I won't be living forever in Switzerland. I always had this dream or this pull to travel the world and to see what's out there for me. So when we fell in love and we had a long distance relationship for a few years, I decided to move to Peru because I loved it. It was just such a different terrain and different culture and different energy. So I moved there. How much time? It's almost 10 years ago, and I really started my professional life in Peru. So I made myself an independent worker. I was working 1 year for a really boring job, an insurance company, where I did some health related stuff, but then I really quickly changed and opened a yoga studio with a friend. And awesome. This is how I made my hobby or my love to yoga a job.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we lived there. I was really happy. I love Peru. And then how life is, it always changes and transforms. My husband actually got offered a job in New York, and we were all already ready to move somewhere else. Wasn't my first goal to go to New York. As I told you before, it's so urban, so intense. But yeah, I ended up here 2.5 years ago. And here I am living in Brooklyn and found beautiful friends, great yoga, and learned a lot.
That's great.
Here I am.
So maybe just quickly, if you're watching live, you can always ask a question. I can even put it on the screen here, and or just let us know that you're watching live. And also, if you watch the replay, just quickly let a comment. If you have questions, we are there to answer them. So, when did you pass to yoga start then, or where better?
Where did I start yoga?
Yeah.
I really heard the question. Okay. Also, this whole yoga thing started for me actually on a surf trip. So I always knew about yoga. I heard of it. By then, I was still like extremely active. I danced, then I surfed, then I snowboarded, and I thought that was a little boring.
Yeah.
When I was in my really early 20s, or maybe earlier even. And then I found it through another person that showed me a little short yoga sequence, which I copied, and I did it for myself, and I really loved it. So I just found a way to like connect with my breathing. It was really simple, and I did it for myself. And then I had a whole time of self-study. So I remember I had like some yoga books and Pilates books from my mom and CDs, really old school stuff. So I would sit in my room and try to meditate and do asana and pranayama for myself a few years until I started going to classes. Okay. And I tried a lot. So my first yoga classes were in Switzerland still while I was studying. And then in Peru, obviously, I really got into it. And when I traveled, I had a great yoga experience in California. And yeah, from there, I just started practicing a lot with many different teachers and styles.
So now you're practicing kind of a style which is called Katona, right? Can you maybe tell me more about that style?
Okay, so it's not really a style, they would say. It is a body of theory. So it's basically hatha yoga. And the interesting thing about it, or the very special thing about it, is that it pulls from many different philosophies and theories. So there is a background of Taoism, like Chinese philosophy, Chinese medicine, mysticism, numerology, geometry, and obviously yogic philosophy and yogic practices. And we teach it, or we learn it and we teach it in metaphors. So there's a lot of talking going on in the classes. It's a beautiful practice that really fuses or engages the mind into the physical practice and awakens not just the body, but your vision, your potential, your thinking, and makes it really dimensional, really interesting. So this is what I found in New York, because it comes from here. Katona is a place in upstate New York. It's a village, like Dalville or something, you know? And the founder, Naveen Mishan, she comes from there. This is where she opened her first studio, and the name stayed Katona. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't really know much about it.
Yeah.
So you're tell me more about your relationship with crystals. How did that evolve?
That happened in Peru. And well, I guess most of you, or many people, just love crystals. They're beautiful, they're special, they're nature. So I always kind of loved them, but I had no special relationship to them until I met a lady from Peru, kind of simple lady. She gave beautiful massages, and I would book her sometimes to get my treat. And she had these huge rocks, crystals. They were just raw, you know, like a rose quartz or an aventurine, or they just look really like regular stones almost until you polish them. So she had these big rocks, and she would align my chakras after the massage with the rocks. And I could really feel the energetic effects of these treatments, and I was really curious. So I would always ask her questions, and I became maybe not a student of hers, but she showed me a lot about these crystals, and she showed me how to use a pendulum. And by then also, this is pretty much my nature, I dive into self-study. And then I bought crystals, I got crystals as presents, I found crystals. So they found me, I found them, and I started learning about them. I started experiencing them, experimenting with them. And then I really took also courses and trainings to know a lot about them. So, yeah.
So how do you use them now in your daily life?
Sorry?
How do you use the stones now in your daily life?
Okay, I'm not going to walk around with my computer now, but there is crystals all over the place in my apartment because, well, they need some place. It's like plants or pets, I guess. So as they can transform your energetic field around your body, they would also leave an imprint in a space, in a room, let's say. So I love to arrange and rearrange them at home. So I would organize them in colors or in different types of crystals. That sometimes I clean them, then I store the other ones. I would charge them in the sunlight, in the moonlight, carrying them up to the rooftop. Yeah, I'm like crazy, spending lots of time with them. And then I use them really specifically. Let's say if I really have some condition, something going on, let's say a headache, or I burnt my finger, or I have a menstrual cramp, or my husband needs something, or he has a busy mind, or many things. And then I use them punctually, particularly to ease that problem. I would carry them with me in my pockets, or as jewelry, just to have them really close on the body. I would set up crystal grids, or just place a crystal in a specific place in my apartment or on an altar to set an intention, or if I want to manifest something. So they can be symbols for many things. They can be really tools to have an effect on the physical, emotional, mental body. And they can just be beautiful decoration too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if somebody's totally new to crystals, first, what kind of crystals would you recommend to get, and what to do with them?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there is a lot of crystals. I don't even know all the names. And I thought about this question beforehand, and how I started, and what's the most the easiest way and the most affordable way. There is a lot of quartz crystals available in our earth crust, but also literally in stores or wherever you want to get your crystals. So quartz crystals, I have a few here. That's just like, that's a crystal point. Yeah. Transparent quartz. Most of you know this, right? Bergkristall in Swiss German. But quartz crystals, they come in many different colors, and some of them, and the colors differ because they have slightly different mineral compositions in them. Why I'm saying quartz crystals? Because there's so many, they're affordable, but the most important thing about it is they have silica in them. That's just a compound. It's like the salt of the earth. And it's really similar to our own tissue, like the connective tissue, the collagen that we have in our body is really similar to the molecular structure of this crystal, and also the compound, the chemical compound. So we resonate really well with the quartz crystals. Because first, maybe it's hard to really feel something, experience something. Do they really do something, or am I just imagining it? Yeah. So the crystals, the quartz crystals, let's say that's a green one. That's an aventurine, beautiful one for the heart or the diaphragm. So the colors go pretty much with the chakras. With the chakras,
yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, where would you place it if you say, like, I want to use it on my body?
Yeah, for example, you can get like a assortment of easy quartz crystals. Let's say that's an orange one, that's a carniol. That would be great for the second chakra, and it increases the blood flow, stimulates, it's helping to become more creative. Or maybe most of you know the amethyst, indigo purple one, beautiful stone for the third eye. And then there is denser color. So you see, you can't look through that one. That's a jasper. Maybe you don't really see the color. It's dark red, right? So they're all quartz crystals, but they all look different. They all have a little different name, but they are really easy to put on the body, and they will interfere with the lower frequencies a little easier. Lower frequency means the physical, the emotional frequencies of our being. And it's like your chakra is like vibrating in a certain kind of frequency, and the stone vibrates a little bit, and eventually they will attune themselves to each other. And this attunement, this is a word from music actually, will change something within you, will harmonize your chakras, will balance it, will make you more calm, more active, whatever you need. So they're really easy to work with, and especially if you kind of want to dive into different states of consciousness to like explore yourself, because this is what many people that do yoga, meditation, or work with crystals and other things from nature, they want to self-explore. So the best for it, and I use it in many workshops and for my sessions, is an amethyst. This is a pretty clear amethyst on the third eye, and it's really a doorway to your inner life. It opens up this third eye, which is an implicit eye, right?
Yeah. So is there a book would you recommend, or if somebody wants to get more knowledge?
There's so many books. I don't even know how to start with, and I'm not sure if I know all the authors, but I can post it in the event later.
That would be great.
So I can tell you just quickly. My absolute favorite books, it's a trilogy. It's also the teacher of my academy where I learned crystal healing. And she is called Katrina Raphael. Yeah, she's American. She lives in Hawaii. She's still alive. She's a little older now. And in the 80s, she wrote 3 amazing books.
Okay.
They go already a little deeper into the subject of why are the crystals here? How do they help the evolution of consciousness and so on? But they talk about all the crystals in an amazing way. And most of the books today reference her work, her whole life work. And then there is really great books. They're a little easier. You can just look up every stone. There is German-speaking book. They're really great, and I have to look them up. I have them here, but I forgot the names of the authors. They're like, let's say, crystal lexicons. How you call this? So they would just describe physical or metaphysical effects of each crystal. And there's another little book I like. It's called The Crystal Bible. I think it's by Judy Hall, which is just a great resume of many crystals, and you can look them up. There is a picture with it and a little description for each one.
Cool. So if you're maybe just saying, if you're watching live and you have a question, you can type it in and we're going to see it as a comment. Just one question from my side. I saw beautiful patterns with your stones.
I see.
Is there a specific meaning if you want to create one yourself? Sorry, I still hear the double voice. So if you want to create one of these beautiful patterns, is there kind of a way to do this, or is it just how you like it, depending on your taste?
I'd say just be creative yourself, because all the wisdom, it's already in you. Okay, it's like an artist. It's somewhere inside, and it comes out as a song, as a picture, an image, a painting, a sculpture. So the same with the crystal grids. You can just play with it and arrange them according to form and color. There is many cool hints if you study sacred geometry a little more, because each number and each form has a certain meaning. Let's say a circle, it's something round and it's whole. It's one universe. It's a whole and whole. A square is something that's really contained in itself. A triangle is It's the number 3. It's one and one is more than 2. It's the creation. It's the expression. So you can play with everything, you know, from geometry.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can just be creative. And there is actually, yes, there is a whole science about crystal grids. There is mostly, we use a focus stone. That's like mostly the stone in the middle, the most important stone where your focus will go to. Let's say you want to build a little grid and it should help you to have peace of mind. Okay? You would choose a beautiful crystal that actually helps you for finding more peace of mind or ease. And then the stones that go around it, that will be the way stones. They would like help the energy to move out to the desire stones. And the desire stones would also help your goal to have clear thoughts or to be emotionally stable. So you would add another type of stone that will benefit your like your intention. So there is a way of setting them up. There's also a book, and I'm going to also post it in the event, which I like, that explains how to build a crystal grid and shows many different examples of grids.
Beautiful. I would love to read that.
Yeah, there's so many to read.
Yeah. So maybe one more question about stone. As you know, I do life coaching, and it's a lot about transformation and affirmations and how to manifest change. What would be the stone which support that?
A good stone for transformation?
Yes.
Cool.
To support change.
To support change. Okay, it always depends. It's so hard for me to be binary, to say this or that, okay? But it depends. For some people, they go through change and it's hard. They feel like they're losing ground. So it would be wonderful to have a stone that really helps them to hold ground. An agate, a jasper, a hematite, the really earthy, heavy, dense, opaque stones, okay? Then some people, they need a little kick in the ass to really make the change happen. So there is great stones, for example, tourmaline. There is many different colors. So they would help ground, but they also move currency. I love them. They're at the same time protective, because when we go through change, we're more vulnerable. So a green tourmaline or a black tourmaline might be amazing. And well, then you always want to look at what is present. Do I need a little emotional support now? Maybe some heart healing stone, or do I need
rose
minds?
Yeah.
So there is so many.
Yeah. And it's probably also like you see it and you like it and you find kind of an attraction to it.
Yes.
It's probably the one used towards you.
Yes, and I sometimes tell people, I mean, I would give tips, but I tell people, go into the crystal store, look what you like the most and choose that stone, because you know what you need, or your body knows, your eyes know, it's like a higher wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, if you're watching live, maybe give a like. If you have a question, just write it in on the button like this. I'm going to see it. Maybe let's switch topic from the crystals to your other project. You already mentioned you're a surfer. I think you were in the Swiss team, right?
Oh, I surfed some competition when I was younger.
Okay, that's amazing. But now
doing this so actively.
Yeah. So now you're running the project with 2 other friends, which is called Floatlovers.
Yes, and one of them is watching. I can see Yui.
Oh.
Love.
Hey, Yui.
Yes, it's called Floatlovers. It's a community and we organize retreats. We call them journeys because that makes a little more sense how we kind of live them. And it was actually Yui, my friend, that came up with the idea, and she came one day, I don't know how much time ago, maybe 3 years. And she was like, would you do like a surf and yoga retreat? And was like, oh, I don't know, there's so many. And then, but she got me. So we were really having a long process about, and we thought about what would that be? What does that mean? There's a lot of surf camps that offer a little bit of yoga. There is some yoga retreats, or maybe nowadays almost every second yoga retreat offers a little bit of surfing. But we literally were like, yes, we lived that lifestyle. We both lived it for 10 years. We were surfing around the world, and we did yoga. We taught yoga. So we were, okay, so let's do it and honestly, authentically share our own lifestyle and give on some of this wisdom we collected over the years. And then Lucas is part of it too. So we're 3, and we all kind of have the same philosophy, and we're, I say, a crazy good team. I can't praise myself so much, but we just harmonize really nicely together as teachers, and we're friends. And so this is how we create these retreats, and we did 3 so far. The 4th one's coming next year. And it's always about surfing, and there's a good portion of yoga and meditation in the retreat. So people are busy with us when they come on a retreat, but in a good way.
That sounds amazing. So do you already know where it's going to be the next?
Yes.
The next event.
And I'm very, very excited because I just visited. We're going to go to Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be our first retreat in Europe, actually. And it's still some time. It's going to be in October next year. So we do a longer break. And then we're back full on for the Portugal retreat, and the location is amazing. It is from 2 friends from New York, which I know really well. And they found this location. It's a little bit on the countryside in the West Algarve. I don't know, have you been to Portugal?
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's just still so somehow a little rough, but nice. And it's a quiet place. So we're going to have a lot of time and space to do yoga and our little ceremonies and meditations. And then there is great beaches to go surfing and explore the ocean. So
is the retreat for all levels of surfers? Or how do you handle it?
Yeah, totally. So we usually work together with a surf school because we want to work with certified surf coaches. I mean, we're all surfers, but we're not surf coaches as a profession, as you might know. And, so usually our people, most of them, they're beginners, or they just started, or they surfed a little bit and they want to get into it more. So that's perfect. There is room for everyone. And we also have people, they bring their own board. Then we split up. We have a group that maybe goes with the surf coaches and learns for the first time. They have the bigger boards. They go into the whitewater first and they learn quickly. And then maybe some other people come with one of us and we're going to explore some other spots. So there is room for everyone.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Anything else you would like to say? Like regarding the events or your teachings?
Well, what can I say? I'm sometimes a little sad. I'm so far away from Switzerland, where I have a dear community and lots of lovely students and friends. And I always love to be connected, so always reach out with questions about yoga, crystals, surfing, whatever. I'm always really well available. This is what I wanted to say. And I send a seasonal newsletter and I always send like free crystal meditations. That's something I didn't mention before. That's a great way to work with the crystals too. So I give a little layout that you can do on the body and a little exercise, and I talk you through an audio. So if you want to subscribe to the newsletter, you get it. I'm not bombarding you with emails. So this is a nice way to keep on learning and stay connected. And then, yes, just follow my calendar. And I'm going to be in New York mostly for winter. So come visit here.
And maybe the last question I ask at everybody, how do you handle change, or do you have an exercise which you would recommend if somebody's going through a change? Can be from yoga.
Personal change or like you mean like changing the whole life, or
doesn't have to be the whole. It can also just be like you're feeling low, or you feel like there's something coming up. It can be a yoga exercise, but it can be something with the crystals, whatever pops to your mind.
Okay, I think it's great. Instead of doing a whole practice and really force yourself to do something at home, it's not easy, I know. Do one pose or two poses, whatever it is. It could be cat cow, really easy. You know that one. Or you can do the hips under the blocks to have a little restorative inversion at home. Legs up the wall if you're super stressed. So really reduce your practice, yoga, meditation, to make it real simple, but try to do it a little more regularly, because I've learned using a calendar, being a little more disciplined and have a routine, nicer if it's a ritual, helps. Really puts you on a grid, and it gives you a framework. Especially if you're one of these persons that kind of all over the place, wants to study everything, wants to change everything. It's really nice to organize yourself in time and space. I have a calendar, and that's a Katona Yoga calendar, and this is how I learned it. So for each month, I can show you quickly, and then I stop. I wrote down for every day what I did.
Oh, wow.
You can see it. And it's amazing when I look back on the year, I see how much time did I practice? How many times did I go to class? How much did I work? When do I meet people? And so on. So that's time management. And the other thing is the management of space. Have a little altar or a little yoga or meditation place in your apartment, even if it's small. And I live in New York. I have a 1-bedroom apartment, and it's happening here too. So I think this is a good tip for people that go through change.
Yeah, some stability. Well, thank you very much for having time.
Yeah, thank you.
It's good to talk to you. And I wish everybody else a beautiful evening.
Yes, thank you for
watching.
Yes, thanks, Anita.
Bye-bye.
Bye.